Hello, it's NPR's Book of the Day. I'm Tinbit Ermias. I'll never forget the first time I saw an iPhone. I'm talking about the OG iPhone, around 2007, when they were still a relative rarity. I remember how simple yet powerful it was. Everything about it was new and exciting. Now, nearly 20 years and many upgrades later, it's still one of the most popular smartphones in the world. And I think it's safe to say Apple is among the most identifiable companies in the world. The story of that company and the triumphs and tumult that made it are the subject of a new book, Apple, The First 50 Years. Its author, CBS News correspondent David Pogue, spoke with NPR's Michel Martin about the book and how the company became a tech giant.
This message comes from Betterment. You know when you sell a stock or any investing asset and start to feel the dread of getting a surprise tax bill? Betterment's Tax Impact Preview tool shows you the estimated tax impact of the sale, so you can make informed, tax-smart investing decisions. Get started today at Betterment.com. Investing involves risk, performance not guaranteed. Betterment is not a tax advisor, nor should any information herein be considered tax advice. Please consult a qualified tax professional.
Support for this podcast and the following message come from Wayfair. Refresh your space this spring and make your home work better for you with Wayfair. Find furniture, decor, and essentials that fit your unique style and budget. With outdoor furniture, patio decor, and lighter bedding. Installation and assembly services available for a truly seamless experience. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home.
This message comes from LiveRight, publishers of Churn, The Tension That Divides Us and How to Overcome It. Author Claude Steele examines the stress people can experience in life's culturally diverse settings and how to build trust. Churn, available now.
Odds are you're listening to my voice at this very moment on a device made by Apple. Few brands have matched its ingenuity and a reach that's both global and intimate. Apple products are not just in our offices, but in our schools, homes, pockets, and our ears, and the company itself, one of the most valuable in the world. But 50 years ago, it was a very different story. And as insiders remember, it was by no means assured that the company would make it to 50 years. CBS correspondent David Pogue tells this fascinating story in 600 pages of reporting, photos, and interviews with 150 people who shaped the company. The book is Apple, The First 50 Years, and he's with us now to tell us more about it. Good morning, David. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
So start with the environment in which Apple, the company, was born. A lot of people know that story, but I'm guessing that some people don't.
I mean, in the late 70s, no one had ever seen a computer, no normal person. Computers were in governments and in corporations and the military. It wasn't something for average people. And that was where this super shy, super genius nerd, Steve Wozniak, came along. He thought that computers should be for everyone. And so he made this first computer, later called the Apple I, and his plan was to give away the design to anyone who wanted to build one. And it was his buddy Steve Jobs who said, no, we should sell that. What I find super interesting is that mission of taking advanced technologies and trying to put it in everybody's hands hasn't changed in 50 years.
I, for some reason, did not know that there was actually a third founder of Apple.
Yes.
But what happened?
This is amazing. Yeah, so the two Steves, Wozniak and Jobs, thought that they should start up a little company to market their Apple I. But Steve Wozniak had a job he loved, designing calculators at HP. And they got into a big fight over whether Wozniak's work for Apple would be owned by Apple or HP. So they got this much older guy that Jobs knew, a guy named Ron Wayne, who was a serial entrepreneur and an engineer, to sort of help them arbitrate this disagreement. And Jobs was so impressed, he said, you know what? Let's draw up the papers for our new company and we'll cut you in for 10%, Ron. So, of course, had Ron Wayne held on to that share, he would now be worth many hundreds of billions of dollars. But he got cold feet. I mean, remember, Steve Jobs was scruffy, smelly, barefoot, stringy hair.
Didn't use deodorant.
He was really a hippie. So Ron Wayne took his name off the agreement 12 days later. And, I've spoken to him. He said he's made peace with it. He's never starved. And at the time, it seemed like the right decision.
So there's a lot of lore around Steve Jobs, but is there something about it that he was sort of hard on people? And that's something that started pretty early in his tenure. But is there something about him that you would want to leave people with?
Yeah, very much so. You hear people say, no, he was super nice to me. And then you hear people say, he was brutal. He would rip us apart. And the truth is, he was all of those things. He could be different things at different times to different people. And the berating of his underlings, even that, some people said it was just cruelty. And other people told me, no, he inspired us that way. That's how he got better work out of us.
It's kind of like he's a Rorschach test, right? People who, in a way, they see what they want to see. He also had a deep value system. He really believed that, the product should do good things in the world. Steve Jobs as an ideal kind of lives on, but it lives on in whatever form people want it to take. Isn't that interesting?
I think that's really a good way of putting it. And, long after he's gone, as you say, he said while dying to his successor, Tim Cook, never ask what would Steve do, just do what's right. And that's a great story. But at the same time, Apple today does still live by many of Jobs's principles and ethos.
Tell us about the time when the company almost didn't make it.
Yeah, when Steve Jobs was gone for those 11 years, they grew worse and worse. They had fiefdoms. Different departments had their own leaders, and they didn't work together. They didn't get along. When Steve Jobs returned, Apple had 22 ad campaigns going on from different agencies, some of which contradicted each other. So Jobs engineered what is widely hailed as the greatest turnaround in business history. In a single year, he replaced the whole board. He replaced all 22 ad agencies with just one. And they had at the time 50 different computer models that they were selling. Nobody could tell the difference. So Jobs killed them all but 4. He said this entire company is going to make only 4 products. And incredibly, this guy who never finished college, never went to business school, in a year made the company profitable again.
When you sort of take a step back, is this a story of luck? Is it a story about timing? Is it a story about drive? What's it about?
I really think it's a story of focus.
Focus.
I mean, from Steve Jobs' first day on the scene, he had one goal, and that was making technology beautiful and powerful for everyday people. That was a uniquely Jobsian viewpoint. And it's something that obviously Apple never stopped doing.
So what's Apple going to do to celebrate their 50th in April?
Apple told me repeatedly, we don't look backward, we look forward. But lately, we are told that Tim Cook is planning something. I'm guessing it might be some special videos or podcasts, but they're working on something. We don't know quite what it is. I can say for certain it's not a 600-page full-color book.
Well, you took care of that. That's David Pogue. He's a correspondent for CBS Sunday Morning and the author of Apple, The First 50 Years. David Pogue, thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you. That was so much fun.
This message comes from Jerry. Noticing your car insurance rate creep up even without tickets or claims? You're not alone. That's why there's Jerry. Jerry handles the legwork by comparing quotes side by side from over 50 top insurers, so you can confidently hit buy. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Jerry even tracks rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Don't overpay. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/NPR today. This message comes from Squarespace, a platform for building a custom on-brand website. Choose from award-winning templates, showcase your work, and manage payments. Visit squarespace.com/NPR to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.